Hello, my name is Hank Smith. I'm working for the Case Western Reserve Social Justice Institute Voicing and Action Program. And I'm here to introduce to you Miss Linnette Ellison. And today's date is September 21st, 2012. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and the history of your family?
Well, you know my name. I'm Geraldine Linnette Ellison. Previously, my maiden name was Johnson. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. We don't have to mention the year, but December 30th, long time ago. I was born actually at Mount Sinai Hospital. My family originated in the bayous of Louisiana after making it here to America, and they ended up settling in Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio. I have two brothers, younger than myself. My mom is still alive and my father is passed. I'm now currently married. I've been married for 11 years to Daniel Ellison. I have 4 kids. I have Nicolette, who is 33, Otis, who's 30, Erica, who is 10, and Zoe, who is 8. I grew up in a number of communities here. I graduated from Shaker Heights High School. And that's where I mostly settled from my elementary time through college. But my family, my grandfather owned apartments here in East Cleveland when I was a kid. So the family, when we were younger, we kind of lived in his apartment buildings. And it was kind of neat having all the family together, and some of those buildings no longer exist. Off Eddy Road, on Hayden. It was a different time then. You know, we kids could go out and play. The neighbors kind of looked after you, and you couldn't get away with anything. Trust me. That was coming from a time when you got a whoop. If you did something wrong, you got a whooping from every neighbor down the street, all the way. And when you got home, your mother was waiting for you to finish it off. So there was a lot of accountability not to get caught doing anything wrong. Okay, which is quite different now. My mom moved from that area, and that's when we moved out into Shaker. Well, actually, we moved off of Carolina on Superior first. That was right around the race riots. And that was a tough time for us. It was a real tough time growing up there, fighting every day because my hair wouldn't go into a big afro. You know, everything was about black power. And it just always amazed me that we would treat each other so badly. And then that's when my mom moved into Shaker. And from the 6th grade on, that's where I was. I loved it there. I liked the versatility. I loved the education and the things we got to do, having grass around our school, the opportunity to do things that most of my cousins that were in the Cleveland school districts couldn't do, you know, tennis and skiing and field hockey, just having a variety of things put out there for me. I left Cleveland in '95. I know I'm jumping ahead, but the rest was my wonderful youth that I enjoyed. And I moved to California for a while. And then my husband decided that California, because he was born and bred there, let's go back to the East Coast and, you know, live a simpler life, live an easier life, and get off the rat race, go to work, and be able to own our home. And we looked in a lot of places, and we could have bought homes in a lot of places. But we saw the Forest Hills area, and at the time we didn't have kids, and we thought, you know, this here is the life. Beautiful home, beautiful neighborhood, green, lush. It was East Cleveland. And I heard all the reasons why I should move to East Cleveland. But it made sense financially and for the kind of lifestyle we wanted to lead. So here's where we landed.
This is in what year?
2003. In 2003. And we looked a lot of places. Pepper Pike, Hunting Valley, far west, but we just kept coming back to this house. We had 2 kids, which was not in the cards, but we did. Doing that, we realized that we were becoming more part of the community. Because now we had to go, as they say, down the hill. I learned a lot about the separatism in the city during that time. That the people down the hill felt that the hill people had entitlement issues, and we feel we were better than. I never thought that. I knew that we paid the tax base for the city. That's a fact. But I live in East Cleveland. So when at work and people were talking about, oh, how horrible it is, and don't ride through, especially the white folks, don't ride through East Cleveland after dark because you're going to get robbed. Everybody goes through there. You can't even stop at a stoplight. And that's the stories you hear. And then they go, well, where do you live, Linnette? And it's East Cleveland. And there was a time when I would say Cleveland Heights because I really didn't want to have to deal with you invite people to your home and you say East Cleveland, then nobody wants to come by. Because it's where I happen to be is, I guess, a gym. Everyone thinks it's a different city than it is. But going to schools down there and meeting parents and seeing all the, I don't know what the right word is, all the things that were wrong with the school board, with the schools, with the city itself, with our government, I knew I had to get into action, and for nothing else but for my kids. I joined a group called NOAA. And when I came to that group, it was to be a group of concerned citizens in the community who wanted to make change, who wanted to be able to go to City Hall, our government, and say, these are the things we want, these are the changes we want, to try to get more unity within our community so that we would have a collective voice instead of being the one crazy person at the podium. That was our hope. After about 2 years and doing a lot of fun things, I learned a lot being with them. But I did learn that what I wanted for the city and what they wanted was different. So I left the group for no other reason than for that. I'm more interested in social services and in empowerment for parents and to learn how to maneuver the school district, to learn how to be warriors for their children in the proper way so their voices are heard and they can have the changes made and get the things they need for their kids. Because there's a lot of things that are needed here. And sometimes they don't necessarily know what's the best for your particular child because the programs they have are geared for the group. The city, I'm glad I'm here. I don't think I could live anywhere else and have the opportunities I have for my life right now. And that's good, but I'm disappointed.
You're disappointed in the progress of the city, or what? Can you elaborate on that point?
I guess you'd say, yeah, the progress, our government, our community. And I know I probably came in on a pink cloud and not thinking I could save East Cleveland, ta-da, Linnette to the rescue. No. But wanting to take the things that I have learned, that I grew to learn more about being involved with NOAA and other organizations, and my own life and the different things I did to I didn't want to go out and teach these people how to eat. I wanted to help them learn how to fish, basically. I guess, to use an old quote, we had a mayor not too long ago, Brewer. He may not have been the best mayor. I would have voted for him again. I don't care what he does at home. That's none of my business. It's what you're doing for the city. We had a mayor before him who lived right across the street from me. Lord knows I didn't vote him in. He was here when I moved here. We have a mayor now. And I think there are some things that are going to be positive for our community. I know I'm trying to choose my words. I don't want to be that angry woman at the podium, speaking on things. But I think the people in this city are also sad, and I think they're disappointed. And when we would go out to talk to them, they say, "Oh, nothing's going to change." Nothing. It's always, they come around and they say, yeah, we're going to get together, and nothing changes. And from my experience, I didn't see much change that involved the community itself. I just didn't, and I still don't. There is change happening, but it really doesn't affect East Cleveland proper. If you live on the border of East Cleveland, then it may be some good things happening. But that concerns me.
So you're familiar with what's going on with the Circle East and University Circle moving in this direction. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're referring to, that part of the border?
Some of it, yeah. That's some of it. The loss of the hospital was big for revenue for the city alone. I understand there was some payout. I don't know I read in the paper what it was supposed to be, but I don't know how that really affects us in a positive way based on the fact that we have such a big deficit. And no, not that I know of, I haven't heard anything about how those funds are coming in and how they're going to be used to better our city. So I can't really speak on exactly how that's going to happen. And I don't have East Cleveland TV, so who knows? It could be out there in the stratosphere, but there's nothing been written, I believe, that I've seen to tell me how that's going to go. And, it's nice to redo old homes that need the love and needs family. And I don't care if you're white, black, blue, or green. That's irrelevant to me. My problem was that these homes that could be purchased and redone and these tax abatements and all these things that will happen were not available to the people of the city who stood by the city. Now, maybe it's changed since I have been out of that circle. And maybe it has. I don't know. But as far as I know, it hasn't. And my understanding is in those new apartments and those new homes, you need to be an employee of the University Circle area, doctors, teachers, whatever you may be in the University Circle. Then you are able to buy those homes and get those tax cuts and all these great things. And yes, we need new blood, new money in our city. We need more of a tax base in our city. Yes, I'm not denying that. I just have a problem with the people in the city not reaping some of the benefits of this. I'm disappointed that a lot of abandoned homes were taken down in that area. Some were taken down in other areas, if you yelled loud enough, but not enough were taken down. We were told 300 in a year and a half or 2 years, and I think it's 75, and it's been 4 years. At least 75 on paper that I knew of last 2 years ago. And I believe most of any overage were done in that University Circle area. where buildings and things were taken down so they can build the new condos. And I guess for me, that's a problem. I would have loved to have been able to see people who've lived here forever, own their homes forever. They can't move. You're not going to get as much money out of it as you need to move anywhere else. So why would you sell? Because you can't afford to live anywhere else. So tear those abandoned buildings down next to those homeowners that are there. Even if you can't do those blocks and blocks of apartments, make those people who live here, who stood here, who stayed here, feel more comfortable in the space that they live in. So yeah, that disappoints me. It disappoints me that the city, the school board, and the community, I'm not saying the community is, innocent in this, just won't step up. Just won't say what they want to say. And say it loud enough and long enough and understand that you don't have to, saying it once isn't going to get the job done. So I kind of pulled myself out of the community work, and I just kind of do things that affect the direct effect of my children, which in effect affects other kids. Going through the Cleveland Food Bank and getting a backpack program at Chambers, having a uniform exchanged, just small things that can help make a difference for a family. My grandmother always said, if you could save one child, you don't have to save the whole family. You've saved a generation. So I kind of look at it like that. I don't expect that I could take East Cleveland and make it different or better, but I would hope that one person would have the desire to do one thing. So how do you keep fighting the good fight when you're constantly getting beat upside the head and everyone who is supposed to be standing behind you, every time a blow hits, they back off a little bit, they move out the way, and there you are, pummeled in the middle of the heap, and they're going, wow, Linnette's a strong person. As they back up and drive off in their cars, I don't know.
Can you think back to your earliest memories of East Cleveland and tell me what life was like then?
On the building my grandfather had on Hayden, I was down from, I don't remember the name of that bar, not far from Holyoke. It's not there anymore. And my grandfather lived in the front apartment, and my aunt lived in the apartment behind him, and my mom was upstairs. And there was a lady across from us. And I remember this woman would leave her kids and be out. And we would all be on the front porch, the brick porch there, and her kids would be on the porch in their diapers. And I always wondered why nobody ever did anything. I was young. I didn't really know if you're supposed to call the police or, 696 kids, I don't think existed then. But I remember my aunts and my grandparents would feed those kids and change those kids' diapers. They wouldn't go in the house. They'd just reach over on the porch and change their diapers. And neighbors who lived in the building or next door to our apartment would bring food or sandwiches to the kids. That's a happy thought. Even though I know it may sound pitiful, this woman left her kids there alone. They were babies. I'm talking really young kids on their own. But the fact that community stepped in, didn't ask for anything. I don't think they ever talked to her or said anything bad to her. They just did what they needed to do. And I guess that's kind of what I was looking to hope to be able to bring back here. So that would be my best earliest memory.
Okay. In what ways has the city changed over time, and what do you think contributed to those changes?
I think crack cocaine ruined the city. Considering there were so many black-owned businesses, everything was just about black-owned businesses, practically. And stores, corner stores, and all the little shops and wig stores and clothing stores. I think crack cocaine came in and it was never the same after that. People lost their businesses to shrimp boat, and then people came in like vultures, which is business, and got an opportunity to get into a thriving area and take those businesses because they were either going to lose them, so they sold them cheap, or they had already lost them and they bought them cheap. When that happened, and there were no more, and then we lose industry. We lose LTV. We lose Fisher Auto Body, which happened before that, but it was just a succession, you know. When we lost all that, then there were no jobs. And all those apartment buildings and all those homes that had families in them couldn't be maintained anymore. They just couldn't be maintained. And if they were turned into crack dens and drug houses, or squatters moved in and they didn't care. Aluminum siding was sold and the copper piping, so now you got floods in the house, and it's just one thing after another after another. And I think then it became flight. It wasn't even about white flight, because there weren't that many white people left in the lower part of East Cleveland. But it just became a point of, uh-oh, we got to go, because we don't want to live like this. So then the homeowners that were able to get out did. And that left a rental base. But then you have landlords that were slum landlords. And they didn't care about fixing their apartments up or their homes up. They just wanted to get the money, and people were desperate to live someplace. And next thing you know, this was the drug place, you know. You couldn't walk down the streets, prostitution, drug dealers, drug addicts, homeless people. Nobody cared. Government was taking their payolas or fighting with each other, and half of them probably shouldn't even have been in city government back then because they had their own issues. Should have probably been out there with the other folks on the street. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And I think people just got disgusted and got tired. You can only call the police so many times or call City Hall so many times and say, hey, 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 and nothing changes. What's your other option? Leave or just act like you don't see it and do the best you can to survive.
How has race and racism impacted you personally, and how has it impacted the city of East Cleveland?
Personally, well, my husband's white, so I'm in an interracial marriage. And, excuse me, some cases, it's not accepted, even today. And it's from people within the city, is all I'm speaking of. I won't even go outside the city. That black woman with that white guy, oh, she thinks she's white now. Oh, she's, oh, that's how she got on the hill. Okay, whatever. How about I went to work every day? Okay, for a long, long time and saved up to do it. It doesn't impact me in a way that would cause me to run, because I do what I want to do anyway. I don't really give a flying flip about what somebody thinks about me. That's your business, it's not mine. What people think about me really isn't any of my business. Plain and simple. I do my best to live my life, to raise my children, to be open, to be loving, to accept everybody, no matter who they are, for what they are to them. Bad people are bad people to you. There are some bad people that are just bad people, mind you. But on the whole, because one person doesn't have a good experience with that person doesn't mean you will. How it's impacted the city? I think that comes mostly from the outside. I don't know if you ever read the blogs on the Cleveland.com, and you hear, and at work, places at work, you hear white people making all these statements about East Cleveland should be burned down. It should just be put a fence around it and keep all the druggies and the killers and the baby rapers all locked in that city. And that's their opinion. Mind you, they don't come this way. Not that Parma's doing so much better either, okay? And I wonder if we even perpetuate the lie sometimes. But I won't necessarily say that we perpetuate it. I think that's just the way this country is built right now. If you're walking around with your pants hanging down around your butt, and you're walking around in your pajamas and do-rags, and you're not speaking English that anyone can understand, and I'm not going to say proper English because I'm none's teacher and I don't always do it right, but speaking in a way that other people can understand what you're saying, allowing your home to look the way it does, with trash on the outside. I don't care what the inside looks like, that's where you live. But cleaning the front of your home, then you perpetuate a lie yourself. It doesn't take that much time to pick up the trash in your front yard. It doesn't take that much time to plant a flower, or put a pot on your porch. My mom gets mad at me sometimes because I'll say, gee, it's hard for me to understand why they can't buy a can of paint and paint the front porch. But they have gone out and gotten $40 worth of nails and $200 worth of weave and a belt with Bobby D's name on it. And it took me a while to really get. She told me one day, she said, you know, maybe that's what it takes for them to get up out of bed and feel good about themselves. When I look at it like that, I go, okay, if she's right, maybe that is what it takes, just to feel good about yourself. And I guess I just see it, I see it different. For me, it's different. It's family first, my home, my community. Not to say I'm selfless, because I'm far from selfless. But there are things that are more important to me than what my outside is, or that my nails are done, or that I have, the Coach bag on my arm. But those are choices I make. And I guess I wonder, I know I shouldn't wonder, because the truth of the fact, if you weren't taught to know any different, you only know what you know. You can't see till you can see, and you can't know till you can know. Racism in this city, it's hard to say because 90% of the city is black. And then the 6% that's white live on the hill mostly. And I have to say it is a separate attitude. I have to say it is. I don't think from my talking with my neighbors that it's about, oh, we're better than anyone who doesn't live on the hill. But it's let's maintain what we have so that we don't end up like that. Let's be cautious and gentle with our neighbors and give them gentle nudges when things are going south, because what happens next door to my house affects my house. But we're a little more open. And I don't think it's just because we're white or we're black. I think it's because we are a community, and we are looking out for the best of our community, not just for the best of ourselves. Because we can still walk our streets at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at nights up here. Walk your dogs, and you see families out or riding their bikes at night. And That's what I would want for everybody. So I don't know. I think it's, if anything, it's because of lack of knowledge and people not really asking the questions or getting to know the people on the hill. And the people on the hill not wanting to go down the hill to the Civic Center to use their gym or even to the library because you have to park way in the back and there are abandoned buildings back there to walk around to the front of the library. I understand it. I get it. I truly do. I personally am not all that enchanted with the Civic Center. It needs some work. It needs more structure so that you feel safe walking through. It really does. It needs more light in the parking lot. I get why you wouldn't want to go down there 8 o'clock at night. I went because my kids were taking dance classes. They were taking acting classes. And I made the choice just to bite the bullet and do it because I wanted to do it in my community. And I guess that's what I really think would help make us better. If we started really doing the stuff in our community. I don't know anywhere else where my kids can learn African dance and ballet and theater, and they've done plays and they performed in all these different places by going to a center where it was mostly free or very little money, right in your own community. And I think the more of us that go, the better it'll get. They'd have more money to paint. They'd have more money to put lights out. They'd have more income to make it better. But we as a community have to do it. I don't blame it all on the city. No, no, no. The community has to also show up and do what they need to do if they want it to be better. But I think it's a lot has to do with a renter's mentality. And when you're just renting and you don't own and you're not vested because you could be gone in the next month or the next 2 months or year, why would you care? Because you're not paying those taxes. And most of the homeowners are, no, I won't say most, that's a bad word. A lot of the homeowners are not paying their taxes either. And I would say that's probably the biggest difference here where I am and the other part of East Cleveland is we're vested. We can't change everything about East Cleveland, but we darn sure can make sure that we maintain what we have. Because we own. The ratio is way different to renters up here than it is on the other part of East Cleveland. Excuse me.
How has inequality impacted you personally, and how has it impacted the city of East Cleveland?
You know, inequality, I'm not sure if it really has affected me so much personally. You know, I embraced the whole quota thing they had to do many moons ago, that you have to have an African American. I was always blessed that I usually was the only African American, and I filled a couple of bases for them. I was black, I was a woman, and I was older. Hey, they got 3 in one shot, you know. For me, it always worked out. Maybe not so much for other people. I know things are can be treated differently in certain places based on if I go alone, if I go with my husband and my mother-in-law. I would say that. For East Cleveland, inequality, see, that's a tough one because I think there's a lot of stuff out there that could benefit us. The inequality, and I don't know if that's even the right word, I think it's our government that we've had in East Cleveland for the past 20 years that have been bad, that have been wrong, that have taken advantage. Some, not all, some have really taken advantage of the community, the funds that came into the community, the things that could have happened for the community. And this goes back at least 20 years, if not more. Probably more. That's what's wrong, in a nutshell. If our government were not infighting with each other so much, and this is ongoing. This is not just the new mayor in office. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is just happening because Gary's in office. No, 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 no. This has been tradition, it seems, in this city for many, many years. That's the problem. That's what causes the inequality. 'Cause the more they don't do, the worse off the city becomes. And then it starts to look like the sore festering that no matter what anybody sends in or tries to give to make it better, it doesn't get better because nobody's taking the pill. Nobody's taking a shot. They're collecting all the medicine, okay? They're putting it to the side because, I might need it myself, or, hey, there may be a better good. I think that's the biggest problem. And if these things from years ago hadn't happened and just got progressively worse to where we are today, and it's like digging yourself out of a hole. It's no different than the president we have today was in a deep hole, and everybody thought he got in that hole was going to, whoop, fill up. No, it's not going to happen that way. But we still have to change. We can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. So inequality, I think, is not the right word for that for me. It's lack of thinking the community first.
Now, at one time, East Cleveland had a form of government that was called city management. Mm-hmm. And then it changed over to the council administration. What did you think about that change? Or do you think that was a better idea?
On paper, it probably is a better idea. I think on paper it is. Once again, even from before to now, everybody was doing what they wanted, that was best benefited them for their future jobs, for the future jobs of their friends, families, and the payola and the favors they had to do. In a perfect world, the way the city government is set up, it should work. You have a group of people who live in the neighborhood, who represent their neighborhoods, speaking on behalf of their neighborhoods to the person in charge of that group who takes it to the mayor, is the way it should be. It's not like that. It's chaotic. My ward person has never knocked on my door. And as far as I know, they definitely haven't left a flyer on my door saying, hey, so, so no, I think it could be in a perfect world the way it was written to be. It should, but everyone is worrying about what the next person is doing, and you can't do this unless you get our permission, and I can't do this, and I can overdo. We can't get anything done. We can't get anything done because nobody wants to be the person without the good idea, it seems. I'm not on city council, so I don't know. But it appears to be if somebody has a good idea, somebody else is going to veto that idea. And that's a problem. We can't get ahead.
Can you recollect a memory or instances when the community fought for something?
Can I recollect a memory? Community fought for something. No. I mean, I was a kid, when I was much younger, so I don't recall then. And in the 10 years I've been here, the red light, but they even gave that up. They even gave that up. No. And I think that's part of the problem. There is no fight anymore. There just isn't. I think people have given up and said, it is what it is, and my vote doesn't count, and what I say doesn't matter because they're going to do what they want, which is usually what happens. And those red light cameras are ridiculous. Did you read how they wrote that up? Of course you wouldn't know what you were voting for. I knew what I was voting for. Okay, I did vote for it. I knew exactly what, but the way they wrote it, you really wouldn't know what you were really saying yes to. Is it going to bring more money in? Maybe. For somebody. But considering how much money they're supposedly brought in, it would be nice not to have potholes in the middle of the street. Or leaves picked up. They only have a small area to pick up leaves from, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But no, I don't recall in a while anyone really fighting for anything here.
How, excuse me, how have surrounding institutions and cities impacted East Cleveland?
You know, I think Cleveland Heights thinks of us as like a little canker sore. You know, they put up with us here because, you know, we keep our houses nice. Cleveland, nobody wants to touch us. I mean, really, they don't. I mean, it's, you know, we're pretty foul. They got to pick up a lot of mess when they pick this place up. And I think University Circle is jumping in on a dying whale and biting off little pieces. Will it be better for the city? For some. I don't know if it's really impacted. You can look at a lot of the cities surrounding us and you could see a little change. I mean, it may not be like the Taj Mahal, but you can see the change. You can see the camaraderie at the meetings and the block clubs they have and how they come together. You just can't see that here. You have small groups of people that get together, but they just can't seem to make it work together. I don't think the other cities that were impacted by us at all. They decided, you know what, we're going to, Euclid said no more alcohol being sold from this area to this area. That keeps everybody from East Cleveland from going into their area to buy liquor. Okay, so nobody's going that way anymore. You go the opposite way toward downtown, there's not much for you to go to. So everything is right here in your little center. We don't even have a grocery store that's viable. Last time we went to Coney's and we bought, what was it, some ranch dressing, came home, my daughter read it, it was dated like 2009. I mean, come on. These are the markets by us. You go and have fresh meat sliced. I thought I'd give them a try. Fresh meat, what can you do? It's a fresh ham in the deli section. It was full of this like white slime. This is what they're selling, but if you don't know what it's supposed to look like, you're gonna go home and eat that. Because you can't drive up the hill and you can't get to Severance and go grocery shopping and bring back all your food because you can't take carts off the parking lots anymore. Where are you gonna go? And then you want to say they're spending their food stamps on this and on that and fast food. Well, where else are they going to go? They don't have to. If you don't have transportation, your kids have to eat. You're going to do what you have to do, and the stores take advantage of that. More power to them. It's business. But we're doing the best we can. Why don't we have a grocery store here? But trust me, I think in another year or so, university keeps doing what they're doing, we're going to have Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, banks. Everything's going to be coming up this way because all those doctors they need the store. They're not going to Coney's. So it'll change.
Well, what is your vision for the future of East Cleveland? And tell me about the major issues that need addressing in order to better your neighborhood, the community, and the city.
Wow, that's a lot. Let's see. My vision or what I believe could happen, maybe two different things. My vision would be for this city to get its stuff together, get its crap together, stop the infighting, for the people to get off their butts and put somebody on city council in the mayor's office that really is working for their benefit, not looking for their next job in the Senate or Congress or in Washington, or looking to move from city council to mayor. Find somebody who's really about the people so that we put the people first. We put the community first, put the schools first, We need more control over who is our superintendent. And that comes by hiring the board members. We have to put the right board members in there that are going to hire the right person. Same with the library. We got a school board that's pulling people for, it's just, everything is just so intermeshed. So I would like to see more autonomy, separate voices, collectively singing. I don't think that's going to happen. I believe within 5 to 10 years, well, I know they can't do anything with the Hill till 2019 because of the 100-year deed on this ground up here from Rockefeller. I envision them sectioning it off, and the Hill will belong to probably Cleveland Heights. East Cleveland will probably be a village if it exists, because everything from Superior down will be University Circle. That's what I see. 5 schools will be down to 1 or 2 to no school. That's what I think would probably happen. And that would be sad to see a great, great, great city that was settled by women, basically. Because the men were off fighting and finding food in the woods up here for their families to eat. To see a city like that go away. Really built by women. I mean, the men built the buildings, but the women were the ones here and kept the glue together.
That's probably still the same way in most
In most areas.
communities. What would you be prepared to do to participate in making East Cleveland a better place to live?
That's a trick question, Hank. Oh, that's a trick question. What would I be prepared to do? You know, as terrible as this probably would sound, I don't know anymore. I gave up 200% of myself for 3 years in a group, an organization that I thought was about change. Another 2 or 3 years, 4 years, trying to make a difference in the school district. Collectively, 10 years trying to do things that would hopefully make it better. What I've learned is that I can't be the crazy lady at the podium anymore. And I won't be the crazy lady at the podium anymore. And I think once collectively people want to really fight, and fight the good fight, because it's not just going and having one protest. It's an ongoing process. It could take a year, but the change will happen if we stick together. But they expect us to fall off. What would I be willing to do? That depends on government, and that depends on the people mostly. It depends on the people. Yeah, one voice can be heard, but one voice can also be drowned out. And it seems to work that way here. So I suppose if the right opportunity came around, the right cause and reason, I could probably be coerced to get on board. But I really can't say now, the way this city sits right now, I'm tired. And I took a lot of time away from my family and kids. And that can't happen for nothing. For something, yes, but for nothing, no.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate all the input that you had for this interview. And again, I want to thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.